Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing one of my favorite models from one of my favorite brands. Launched in 2018, this is the HYT H0 Eau Rouge. Literally the red water. It's a handsome combination, primarily of sapphire and stainless steel, but with rubber and fluid added. It's a modern-day clepsydra. Now, in 2017, HYT, which pioneered the fluidic display system in modern horology, launched its first lugless watch, the H0. This model followed 1 year later with a clean and thoroughly Swiss silver, white, and red combination. It is 48.8 millimeters in diameter, but because it is lugless and round, it is also 48.8 millimeters lug-to-lug, meaning it's shorter across the wrist than a 40 millimeter Rolex on the bracelet. Now, in terms of thickness, it's 19.2 millimeters, but I've been wearing the watch around, and it actually does slide under my cuff because the case flank is so dramatically rounded off. Thrown it on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see, though on paper it sounds huge, it's actually quite wearable. Look at this down the barrel shot. Plenty of clearance on both sides. It's nowhere near the edge of my wrist. I think you could actually wear this thing on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. There's your cuff shot. Well, it doesn't initially look like a watch that would slide under a sleeve. In fact, it's been sliding under this one all day. And from over the top, you can see the edges of the case come nowhere near the edge of my wrist. And taking a quick look at the hardware and the software, it is nicely appointed. First of all, there's this lovely dimple style vulcanized rubber strap. It's not a conventional strap junction. As you can see, it's fitted with screws on the bottom side, but it has a wonderful thickness to it, so it feels hardy and long lasting. As you can see, there's this lovely dimpled impression with a little bit of an arc. You can see there are these arcs of individual dimples. It's not simply a linear alignment. Now, rolling over to the underside, you can see that HYT brands its proprietary strap design on both sides. Very thick right to the end to avoid tearing and to ensure long life. It comes with a full deployant clasp, and as you can see, it is a twin trigger release, nicely executed. You can see it's a combination of media blasting and satin finish. And while the case is steel, the clasp itself is actually made of titanium, and as you can see, it is custom for HYT. Now, you'll also appreciate that there's a little anchor to hold the strap minder in place so it doesn't scoot all over. It's very easy once you size this one down on the wrist to stick the opposite end through here without the minder scooting away from you. The timepiece does have a steel case, at least on paper, but as you can see, the case itself is the minority of the vessel, the majority of which is this dramatically cambered sapphire. Now, in practice, most watches that are stainless steel eventually get scratched. Remember, sapphire is second only to diamond in hardness. It's harder even in ceramic cases. So you have this enormous scratch guard towering above the case to basically ensure that the satinated case never collects a scratch. Attention to detail is rife. As you can see, there's a handsome ceramic shoulder with a helical groove to make it easier to grip the crown. The crown is both polished and media blast, and then you can see that there's a combination of hairline polishing on the lip of the case and satin finish on its edge. Underneath that enormous sapphire, you can see that there are calibrations on the side to make it easier to discern the time. You've got 24-hour time outboard, and then on the scale with the conventional hours, you have regular 12-hour format. A few thoughts here. What you're looking at may be confusing at first glance, but it is a regulator. You have your seconds, you have your minutes, and then you have your hours, and there are two immiscible liquids, and this is a system developed by HYT with the meniscus, or the partition between these two liquids, serving as the indicator of the hour. So as you can see right here, I'm going to set the watch to 5:35. You are now looking at 5:35, and because it does have a limited arc and you need to display 12 hours, when it reaches the end of its travel, you can see 6 retrogrades immediately all the way back to 6, and then it continues its climb to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's how it works, meaning it is both a regulator with separate hours, minutes, and seconds, and a retrograde hour in that the hour indicator jumps back dramatically at the end of its travel. There's a borosilicate tube that's actually made in the United States, and that is the vessel that contains the fluid. So there's fluid in this watch, one of the few watches of which you can say there is supposed to be liquid inside it. Now, the dial has a wonderful 3-dimensional dimensional quality, and you can see how the edges of the sub-registers are actually polished. You have the power reserve indicator over at 230. It's a manual wind 65-hour power reserve. The watch is loomed. There will be a loom shot, and though it's rather dramatic with its satin, silver, sapphire, steel, and fluid display on the dial side, when you turn it over, you can see that the movement, the H101, is actually quite traditional. It is a 65-hour manual wind, chronoed engineered Swiss lever system that beats away at 8 beats per second. It stabilizes the balance on a full balance bridge for shock resistance, and then there are cam systems that drive these two bellows, which are full of the fluids. HYT designed the fluid display system, and through its subsidiary Pressiflex, it builds these specialized components. And then Chronode designed this 35-joule manual wind movement. The watch is 30 meters water resistant, so it's not an aquatic sports watch, but in every other regard, it is sporty and relentlessly fun to wear. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the HYT H0. As you can see, it has plenty of loom, including underneath the fluid scale. I've been wearing this watch for a few days, and I have to say, though it lacks hacking seconds, it is unerringly accurate. Always pleasing with a mechanical watch.